Look, I like trades as much as the next guy, but do the Houston Texans have to make trades ahead of the deadline? If they don't, where do you have the least confidence in this team? Will these stats be enough for CJ Stroud? Do you care about the stats if the wins show up? And I didn't want to do this, but I'll explain that a little bit later on. Appreciate everybody for watching the show. Welcome in. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans here on Houston Football with Cody Stoots. It's not quite the morning time. It's basically the afternoon. I know that 11 a.m. is still technically the morning, but that's kind of the afternoon. Lunch menus start at 11 o'clock, so it's kind of the afternoon. But we could still crack some caffeine with Cody. Good morning, good early afternoon, good Friday to all of you. And let's talk about the Houston Texans. So does this Texans team have to make a trade? Do they have to make a trade this season? And right now, you look at the team and you think about where they are and you think about the assessment of the various positions. And on SNL today, Landry and I have a video where we're going to go through every single position and how they've played up to this point. You look at the roster and you think about where they are. Do they have to make a trade this season? Are they in dire need of the ability to go out there and utilize their assets that they have? And they've got some extra assets. Utilize their assets and go find players. I don't think teams want to make trades. I don't believe trades are easy for teams to make, and I don't believe that trades always are the smart option in adding players. And sometimes you don't have an option. You need a player of a certain caliber. That player's not already in your organization or not coming back from injury. And certainly if that player is a high caliber player, they're not available in free agency. So when you desperately need something, you don't have a lot of options. But I do feel like teams, general managers, head coaches, position coaches, and guys in the locker room would prefer to not have some big move and have that guy walk into the locker room. They'd love to be able to figure out what they need in the building. They love to figure out what they need and get it going with the guys that they have. It makes general managers look smarter. It makes coaches look like better coaches. If they can figure out needs in the building, they don't have to worry about figuring out needs through the trade process and give up future assets, which typically is a draft pick, and typically you lose a cost-controlled asset when you trade them for a player that a lot of times is already expensive or is an expiring contract, or maybe is a combination of both when you go and get that. And I think about where the Texans are and some of the spots where they could be looking for a trade. And if you're thinking about a starter, I feel like a lot of those positions, they have a guy already that they'd like to just hammer home that opportunity. So if you're thinking about an offensive lineman, well, Nick Caserio defended the tackles the other day when he was talking about how they have 4 tackles who've started in the NFL. Trent Brown's played almost 100 games, or started almost 100 games in the NFL. Blake Fisher started a little bit for them last year, and obviously they have their starters at tackle now with Titus Howard and Ariante Ursery. So when you think about a tackle, they have guys that they like in that building. They like Trent Brown so much they traded away Cam Robinson. When you think about guard, they have guys they like at guard. Certainly Ed Ingram is playing really well at guard, and Juice Scruggs, they liked him enough to keep him around when he was like the last lineman to make the 53-man roster. And then they liked him enough to give him a crack at starting, and ultimately that's paid off a little bit to them. At center, they like Andrews and they like Patterson. If you're thinking about tight end, well, Schultz is a pass catcher, and they've got blocking options, and Cade Stover eventually will be back. And if you're thinking about defenders, well, my goodness, they've got depth at a lot of the defensive positions. They've got 4 defensive tackles. They've got 5 defensive ends with Danico Autry on the horizon at linebacker. They've got enough guys that they can have one of their healthy guys inactive on a game day. Christian Harris, this most recent game. Now, the secondary, it's a little dicey, but when you think about what they have in the secondary on the injury list, Jalen Smith at cornerback, Jalen Reed at safety, Jimmy Ward at safety, reinforcements are coming for the secondary. So it becomes a very tenuous conversation if you're in the building for the Texans. And do we go out there, spend some of those assets that we got for moving Laramie Tunsil, spend some of those assets that we got for moving around in the NFL draft, and try to improve this team now? And if we make that move, how much does that improve the team? Will it justify the cost? Because I feel like if you're where the Texans are right now, and you're thinking about using additional assets to go out there and improve this team right now, you want to have a big return on your investment. You keep the powder dry. That was a phrase in the NBA for years and years, so that if you need to make a move like this, you can go ahead and go do it. Now, the NFL has done a good job of adding to the usefulness of the trade deadline, but still, with 7 teams making the playoffs and with a big jumble between the top teams in certainly the AFC, but even in the NFC and the rest of them, with a big jumble in the standings, it becomes hard to see exactly who's going to be willing to sell and what they might be selling if they do make those moves. Now, obviously, when you can look at the standings and you can say things like, well, the New Orleans Saints aren't really going anywhere, maybe they'd be willing to sell some players. Yeah, I would say so, but my counterpoint to that would be it's a first-year head coach. They're trying to build something for him, and if you got rid of a bunch of veterans, it makes his job harder. Hey, the Tennessee Titans coming off their first win. Well, they're not going anywhere, sure, but you've got guys in that building that are probably looking over their shoulder, hoping to save their job. Certainly the head coach, but even guys in the front office, decision makers. Hey, I want to show immense value so that if they do fire the head coach, I get to keep my cushy job over here on the front office side of things. Now, if you're looking at the Jets, yeah, the Jets are a team that maybe, you'd want to pluck some players off that roster. Doesn't feel like they're going anywhere. But even the Cleveland Browns, they're a 1-4 football team. But they're a 1-4 football team that's kind of stood by their head coach the past couple of years. They just moved on from a veteran quarterback to start a young guy. So I don't know if they want to just start peeling off pieces. Other 1-4 football teams, the Baltimore Ravens, they got to feel like they're not totally out of this thing. The Las Vegas Raiders, I mean, yeah, they're in a tough division in the NFL, but Pete Carroll didn't sign up to come in and coach 5 games and then have you tear apart and peel apart the roster and jettison them for draft picks. Pete Carroll didn't give a damn about draft picks. He's a million years old. He wants players now. You look at other 2-3, 2-4 teams. The Giants got to be feeling good about Jackson Dart. The Cardinals, they don't want to quit on this season. The Chiefs, you're not trading with them. The Bengals, they're clearly not quitting. They're adding to the equation. The Cowboys, the Bears, the Falcons, the Rams, the Commanders, it becomes hard to find trade targets. Now, the trade deadline is weeks away. Let's call it a month. The trade deadline's a month away. So some of these teams will fall off. Some of these general managers will say, screw the coach, I'm getting draft assets because I'm going to be here even if he's not. So that will change, and you'll have more players available, and you'll be able to go through and pick through the roster and pay attention to them and kind of see, hey, well, this team's got a young guy playing well, so maybe they'll move off the veteran, or maybe they're going to commit to this veteran, so maybe they move off a young guy that you like over there. Like, there's just teams around the league that are not very good right now. They're going to get worse, and they're going to want to trade guys for assets. And then there's teams that are bad right now, and they maybe don't want to move off of those assets, and they'll still be bad in about a month, and then they'll move off of some of those guys, and they'll kind of, I don't want to say punt on the season, but you can make a move, you make an adjustment, make a change to how you're operating if you're one of those teams. So the Texans, they're very much feeling like a team that if the right move popped up, if the right situation showed up for them, they'd be pretty willing to go out there and make that move. Now, who would they go after? What do they have to trade? And how big do you want to swing? Those are all really important questions. Those are all really important questions that we'll answer here in the next few moments. So appreciate everybody hanging out here on a Friday. Want to do some new housekeeping here. All right, some new housekeeping, and then I'll answer some comments, some questions. Then we'll get into some trade targets. I got 3 big names that I know could help the Houston Texans. 3 really big names that I know could help the Houston Texans. And then I get some other just smaller names. And then I want to talk about C.J. Stroud and plenty of other things. So 3 really big names that I know can help the Houston Texans. We'll get to those here in just a minute. Right after I tell you about my friends at TickPick. Folks, if you've never used TickPick, I don't know what to tell you. This is the best ticketing app around. I've used TickPick for years. I love TickPick. You know what I love about TickPick? No fees. How many times have you thought you're paying this, and then you get that because you get hit with this massive, unnecessary, you don't know what it is fee? No fees on TickPick. My friends at TickPick are the best in the business. They have a fantastic app that I want you to download. I want you to use the link in the description down below to download that TickPick app. I want you, when you get signed up, I want you to use HMA as the code. You're going to get $20 off your first TickPick order. They are fantastic. The app is so easy to navigate. You can navigate by the best deal. Like right now, you're getting an A+ deal on this Jaguars game ticket for the Texans. Okay. You can navigate by best seat. You can navigate by expensive seats that aren't always available to the public. You can even get seat views. Okay. You can see what your seat looks like in the app, and you can even price freeze, meaning you can freeze the prices while you're looking at an event right now. And if the price goes up, they'll reimburse you on your TickPick account for the price fee. If it goes up, you still pay that initial fee to that ticket that is available. I love TickPick. They're the best. Use the code HMA when you get signed up. HMA when you get signed up, okay? You get $20 off your first set of tickets at TickPick. TickPick is the lowest prices guaranteed. No fees. What you see is what you pay. And you're getting $20 off. So I got a code for you. HMA, $20 off your first set of tickets at TickPick with a purchase of more than $100. $20 off any tickets, promo code HMA. All right. And so when you're in the TickPick app, you're going to just pop in right in there. You got the code HMA. You're going to get the $20 off right there in the TickPick app. I'm telling you, this is the best ticketing app around. And it's not just sports. They've got concerts. They've got huge, giant concerts that maybe you missed out on the pre-sale, okay? They've got little smaller concerts as well. They have tons of stuff for you. Events, concerts, music, comedy shows. TickPick's the best. I love them. I very much believe in TickPick because I very much believe in the fact that it's lowest prices guaranteed and there's no fees. HMA for $20 off your first TickPick order. Appreciate TickPick for hanging around with us. Okay. Let's get in here to some questions, some comments, some joys and concerns, and let's get to those 3 big players that can help the Houston Texans. Okay. Let's get to those 3 big players. Ryan's looking forward to the show. Josh, appreciate you. Good to see you, Christopher. It's TZ. Good to see you. BG, appreciate you. Esco is here. Christopher wants trades for depth. Well, I got depth options for you, but we're going to go through some starters. First, Brandon says, hard to find anyone worth trading for. Buddy, you're preaching to the choir. I spent about an hour looking through rosters this morning trying to find stuff. HDAV Travelers here. Good to see you, mi amigo. We still have a motorsports conversation to get to. Ken is thinking maybe a tight end. Christopher, I think, was trying to type Breece Hall. Sid says Juice Scruggs eventually is going to show his true colors. We need another guard. Hardstyle Gaming's got a recommendation. John Simpson from the Jets. Simpson's playing horrible right now. He's a free agent at the end of the year, but he's playing horrible right now. I don't know that I could say for sure he'd be a guy that could play right away. Abram, what's up, Cody? Man, I wish we played the Seahawks this Monday. Yeah, the bye week's kind of lingering with me. You know, I'm ready for some football, but we got plenty of college football this weekend and some great NFL games this weekend, so be good. Be good. Cody, let's trade for Cam Scattaboo. JK, happy Friday, guys, gals. Well, Cam Scattaboo was a thumbs up from Cody Stoots in the draft process, but No Cam Scatterboo for the Texans. Esco says, honestly, after Marks and Chubb, who can you trust in the backfield? I like the Breece Hall trade idea. Well, stay tuned. Kevin says, State Fair food reviews. I'm not going to make it to the State Fair, unfortunately. I'm not going to make it up there, but I am going to make it up to see some buddies this weekend in Dallas. But I'm not going to make it to the State Fair, unfortunately. But to make up for it, I do have a food review for you this morning. We will do a live food review here on the channel today. My only issue with trading for town is Caserio gets taken to the cleaners in terms of value every time. It's not every single time, but it is quite a bit of advantage opponent with Nick Caserio. The Dolphins are going to fire their coach and dump players. Yeah, I looked at the Dolphins roster. There's not a lot to love there. Okay. It would be nice to have Hall, Woody, and Chubb. Stay tuned. We'll talk about it. We're one Lamar Jackson injury away from being 1-4 and people looking at us trying to trade. LOL. Yeah, well, they're not 1-4, Jerome. They're 2-3, and they still need to get better. So that's why you talk about trades. There you go, being negative Jerome as usual. Mustard paper. Cody, do you remember Antonio Smith the Ninja? I got his signed jersey. I do. I also remember you saying that yesterday. All right. MK Adams, good to see you. Kyle, good to see you. Appreciate you being a member. Kenneth, good to see you. Appreciate you being a member. Stoots, what's the caffeine hit today? The Rise Sunny D. Wanted something a little bit, lighter on the flavor. That orange flavor is a little light. It doesn't kind of hit you like the cherry limeade. But it's nice and delicious. Nice and delicious. Bel Air Detroit Baby 3. Good to see you. Outlaws with the Celsius Peach today. Very mid, I will say. I have not had a Celsius that I like yet. I like Rise. I like the Sea-Bum energy drinks. Oh, Patrick, you're speaking my language here. Patrick Martinez says, heading to Spanky's tonight, what's the go-to for dinner? Well, if you're going by yourself, that limits your ordering potential because you don't want to order a ton of stuff. Unless you want to take a lot of it home. But I would go for, if you got a few people, go for a couple of apps, and then you can get the pizzas and you can split them up a couple of different ways. So for the apps, I really like their wings. I feel like their wings are meant to be shared because they're big wings. The buffalo sauce is very tangy. I don't know that you necessarily want to hammer 8 of their wings and then have a pizza. But, if you got 2-3 people and everybody has 2-3 wings, and then you move to a pizza, I think it's just the right amount. So I really like their wings. And, of course, I love the tater kegs. I mean, come on. It's potatoes. It's bacon. It's cheesy goodness. You can get them loaded. I love the tater kegs. So either some wings or some tater kegs, maybe some fried mushrooms. I do like their fried mushrooms a lot. Okay. Then from the pizza standpoint, if you got a couple of people with you, everybody pick a favorite pizza and then do some half pizzas. Okay, do some half pizzas, and then everybody shares, and you mix and match your whole pizza and get some ranch. And, oh, man, I love their ranch. Oh, there. If it's just you, I like a good old-fashioned barbecue chicken, meat lovers, split down the middle pizza. It's fantastic. I love Spanky's. We're going to be there a week from today, actually. I'm glad you brought that up. Patrick is not a paid plant, folks. He is not a paid plant, but Patrick did want me to remind you guys that Spanky's a week from today. Live broadcast. We'll be there at 3. We'll go until whenever the live show starts at 4 o'clock. You can watch it on YouTube, but we want you to watch it in person at Spanky's. They do a fantastic job with the pizza and the drinks and the appetizers and the whole environment. We love Spanky's. Check us out a week from today, 4 o'clock, 7118 Bel Air Boulevard, right there in Sharpstown, right near 59 and Bel Air. It's fantastic. So I appreciate you asking and hope you enjoy your time at Spanky's. DeRhino's got a super chat. If definitely no Mixon, give me Breece Hall. Brunch with Stoots is dope. Yeah, I guess this is kind of brunchy time. No, I'm not having anything to eat, but I will do a food review here in a minute. So appreciate you, DeRhino. Thank you. Okay, I have made folks wait long enough. Let's get to some of these trade targets, right? Let's get to some of these trade targets. Let's talk trade. Let's talk turkey, as the people say sometimes. I have three bigger names, and we'll spend some time discussing them and going over what you trade for them and this and that. But here was sort of the criteria that I prioritized in the trade conversation. I prioritized the fact that they were not super expensive. So there's no $20, $30 million player here in this trade conversation. The Texans got some flexibility, but they don't have a ton of money to go spend. I prioritized someone that wasn't going to cost a ton from an asset standpoint. Okay. You're willing to spend some assets, but you don't want to spend a ton of assets. And the likelihood that they were walking away from their team in free agency helped some of these guys appear on the list. So three big names, a couple of smaller names that we'll go through. And before we do that, let's hear the general manager talk about the trade deadline, because I felt like Caserio had a little bit more juice when he talked about the trade deadline than when he usually talks about the trade deadline. Here's the general manager.
We'll look at it, have some flexibility. So there's always a cost. Do a cost-benefit analysis, not to get into big economics discussion, but that's a part of it. So if you're going to give something up, what are you getting in return? Are you comfortable with that decision? What's the cost from a contractual standpoint? Some of those types of things. So try to maintain as much flexibility as possible. So we're in a decent spot. If there's a situation out there that we feel makes some sense and it works out, great. If it doesn't, then okay, there's nothing we can do about it, and we're prepared to handle it, with the players that we have here. So, we're getting close here. You're starting to see a little bit of jockeying. Teams are losing players. The trade deadline's called up, 3-4 weeks away. So, again, I know everybody gets excited about the trade deadline, and typically it ends up being more of a whimper than anything else. But you never know. Every year is a little bit different. So, always be open-minded. I think that's the one thing I think we've shown. We're open-minded, be adaptable, be flexible.
He hit me with because I asked the trade question. He hit me with you never know, and then a little smile. Juxtapose that with when he talks about the draft or free agency, and he's like, yeah, it's a way to add players to the team. It's a mechanism to add to your organization. It's like, and then he's like, well, you never know. So I wonder if Caserio's working on something. All right. But he's got assets if he wants to go out there and make some things happen. And if the Texans feel like, hey, solid start, let's make it even easier to continue this. Not a solid start. Let me back that up. Recovered from the bad start. Let's make it easier to build on these past two games, or, they beat the Seahawks and they want to make another deal, or they win the next two and they want to make a deal. Let's make it a little bit easier to continue to build in this. They've got the assets. Here's what the Texans have in next year's draft, the 2026 NFL draft. They've got their first round pick. They've got their own second-round pick. They've got a second-round pick from the Commies, the Washington Commanders. That's, of course, from the Laramie Tunsil trade. Right now, that pick would be the 50th selection overall. So you'd end up with 3 top 50 players if that held right now. Obviously, things are subject to change, and you hope the Texans get their picks down a little bit more, and maybe Washington's picks go up. They've got a third-round pick, the Giants' third-round pick. Okay, remember they made the trade out of the first round with the Giants. They acquired draft picks. They used one of them to move up in the Ursary situation and move around there on day 2. One of them was a future third. So that Giants third-round pick right now would be the 72nd overall pick. Now, obviously, you hope that one goes up a little bit more, gets a little bit closer to the top 60s or so, something of that nature. So the Giants' third-round pick, they don't have their own. That was traded in the Woody Marks trade. They've got their 4th. They got the Commies' 4th. They've got their 5th, a Rams' 6th. They've got the 49ers' 7th. And I put the asterisk next to their 7th because it's unclear if they actually have theirs or not, if it has conveyed in a conditional trade or not. So I put the asterisk there. So they've got stuff if they want to trade. Now to the players. This is what y'all want to hear about. Who are the players? This one was the easy one, right? People have already said it in the chat. You look at the New York Jets, and they are awful. They're not using Breece Hall well. He seems to be a little bit disappointed with how they're using him. They're not going anywhere. Aaron Glenn is, it's easy to get rid of squeaky wheel guys and try to get everybody buy-in, pull the rope the same way. Breece Hall, running back for the New York Jets. You think about a running back room with Breece Hall and Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, you've got something for everybody. You've got Breece Hall and Woody Marks who can both run the ball well, run the ball inside, run the ball outside, and catch the football. And then you've got Chubb in there as that hammer, that short yardage guy. And you need another running back you can trust in this organization. You need another running back that you can depend on if Woody Marks gets banged up, if Nick Chubb gets banged up. You need someone else at the running back position. Breece Hall would be fantastic. I feel like the Texans wanted Breece Hall a couple of years ago. He got snatched up by the Jets. The Texans settled on Jalen Petrie. And so now you have the chance to remedy this, and you get Breece Hall. He is headed into the final year of his contract. He is a close to 1,000-yard rusher previously, 994 in 2023 with 5 touchdowns, 876 last year with 5 touchdowns, but he's gone well over 1,200 scrimmage yards in the past 2 seasons. And right now, the Jets, they're not going anywhere. So it behooved them to start thinking about this. Now, here's the tough part about Breece Hall in this conversation. This is a player that every team who needs a running back is thinking about a running back. Every team would look at this situation and say, we can get that guy. We can have that guy. We can get that guy. Like, yeah, of course. It's an 0-5 Jets team. They're not going anywhere, and their star running back might be available. Star maybe is a little bit too much, but their starting running back might be available. So every team in the league that needs a running back is going to look in and check in on this. So the price is a little bit higher. Now, again, the Texans have assets. Would I trade that Giants third rounder for Breece Hall? I probably wouldn't. I'd probably try to send something as like a future third, which is kind of worth a 4th round pick when you think about it in draft value terms. So it's worth a current year 4th, a future 3rd. So maybe a future 3rd, or if I was sending a 3rd, I'd need something back with Breece Hall. Because remember, if you get Breece Hall in 3 weeks, in 4 weeks, that's all you have him for. You have him for the rest of the season, and then he's a free agent. And I got to imagine if Breece Hall comes in here, successful, plays well, looks good, he's going to want to go test free agency and go try to get a contract. Teams signing guys in free agency at the running back spot and paying them, guys changing teams at running back, it's impactful. It's a big positive. A couple of years ago, it was a huge negative. Now it seems like something guys should do at the running back spot. You should go into free agency. Let the bidding war commence. So Breece Hall would be that. I don't know that I would go with the 3rd that the Giants sent the Texans. I don't know if I'd trade that Giants 3rd round pick, but you got 2 4th round picks. So if you want to do a 4th and a future pick, or you wanted to do, a couple of the 4ths and maybe you get something else back with Breece Hall. But again, this is a rental. This is a guy that's only going to be on your roster via this trade for this year, unless you re-signed him. And I don't know that you know for sure that you want to go ahead and pay Breece Hall after just a handful of games, but he'd make the Texans a better football team. He would help you with the injury potential of the running back room, because right now you don't have anybody behind Woody Marks and Nick Chubb that you trust to go out there. Chubb's got an injury history from the past couple of seasons, and Woody Marks, you never know how rookies are going to handle the wear and tear of the NFL. So Breece Hall, that's my top guy. It's my number 1 guy. I'd love the Texans to go get him. Don't pay too much, but it's not going to be cheap if you go and get Breece Hall. Let me know your comments. We'll get to those after we get to the other 2 big players. So Breece Hall, the first player there in the conversation. The next players actually, are from the same football team. And if you have watched the show, or you watched SNL, or you've paid attention here since the offseason, this is a guy that I've thought about for a very long time for the Houston Texans. This is a guy that this offseason I was saying, hey, go get this guy, round out that tight end room, Add this guy to Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover, and man, you're going to be sitting pretty at the tight end position. He's going to be in a contract year. He's going to want to show off and have a big season. And, it makes a lot of sense with this guy. And it makes even more sense now that Cade Stover's not available. And if you've paid attention from the offseason, if you've heard me mention him in the past few weeks, David Njoku, tight end from the Cleveland Browns. I mean, this guy is a dynamic athlete at the tight end spot. He has been uber productive at the tight end position over the past few seasons. Since 2021, 4.465 in the touchdowns, 475, 628, 882, 505 the past 4 seasons. Okay, 58 catches, 81 catches, 64 catches the past 3 seasons. This guy is a productive, consistent, reliable tight end, and he is wasting away on the Cleveland Browns. The Browns aren't going anywhere. The Browns also have his replacement already on the roster. They drafted Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. Fannin had a really nice start to the season, and Njoku is a free agent at the end of the year. So the Browns maybe could get a compensatory pick if he walks in free agency, or they could guarantee themselves a selection in the upcoming draft and trade in David Njoku. Again, similar to Breece Hall, this is a guy that could be highly sought after. Everybody else sees the situation that we're all talking about. But you think about a tight end room with Njoku and Dalton Schultz initially, and then add Cade Stover back in later on in the season. It gives C.J. Stroud another weapon in the passing game. David Njoku is not a bad blocker. His Pro Football Focus pass blocking ratings have been really solid the past 5 seasons. His run blocking ratings are not a huge travesty like some tight ends at the position. I just love this fit for the Texans. And for Njoku, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. He's going to give you everything he's got to try to build his value, go into free agency as the top free agent tight end. I mean, I just love the idea of David Njoku on this team. This is a guy, remember a couple years ago when he had like the fire pit thing and he got hurt? He was playing like right away. He had to wear the mask to cover up his burn portions of his. I mean, this guy's a baller. He is a guy that can go out there at the tight end position. He can block for you. He can make plays. He's athletic. And man, you see it time and time again. When guys get out of crappy situations, and the Cleveland Browns have been crappy for the past couple of years, guys get out of crappy situations. They get into a new set, and they're like, damn, this is how a real team does this? This is how a team that wins football games does this? This is how a team that competes for division championships does this? Sometimes it takes their game to the next level, bumps them up a little bit, gets them a little bit revived, juiced up. You get even more out of them than what you saw at their previous stop. So Njoku, man, I love David Njoku as a Texans trade target. Let me know what you think there about Njoku. We're not going far for the next guy. Now remember, I had 3 big ones. I got some smaller ones, and we'll get to those here in just a minute. But we're not going very far for the next one. We're staying in Cleveland, and we're staying on the offense here for the Cleveland Browns. Because this player, a year ago, his name was very popular with Texans fans, and I didn't see it. I didn't like it. He wasn't playing well. He was a little dinged up. It didn't look good last year. It looked a little slow, and he didn't look as strong and all that. But this player, I like this. And this would be the team deciding that they need the upgrade. Like, you work Njoku in. He doesn't take over the tight end position. You work Breece Hall in. It's not everything goes to Breece Hall. You still use Woody Marks. You still use Nick Chubb. You have a 3-headed monster at running back. You go get this guy, you're handing everything at this position to him. The thing is, this guy can handle everything at this position because, well, he's very, very good and has been very, very good in his career. And could really help the offensive line of the Houston Texans. Joel Bitonio, former All-Pro guard for the Cleveland Browns. He was an All-Pro in 2021 and 2022. He's been a Pro Bowler every single year from 2018 to 2024. This guy was a 2014 second-round pick, drafted right after Xavier Su'a-Filo. You remember that name, Texans fans? Bitonio has been a rock for the Cleveland Browns. And after a little bit of a disappointing season last year, Bitonio's back. He's back to a trusted form. He's back to a guy that's playing really good football. He's pass blocking well. He's run blocking well. And you want to talk about revitalize a guy who is a little bit of an older player. He's about to be 34 years old. You want to talk about revitalizing a guy, getting a guy back into feeling it. His birthday's tomorrow. What better gift could you give Joel Bitonio but playing meaningful football for an organization that desperately needs help on the offensive line? Now, Bitonio's a free agent at the end of the year. That helps make the trade easier, and it keeps the cost a little bit lower. And then you start thinking, well, could you get a 2-for-1 deal with a little Njoku and David Bitonio or Joel Bitonio? David Njoku and Joel Bitonio? Could you get a little 2-for deal? Could you buy 2 and pay a little bit less, get a little discount from the Brownies? I think you could. If you plop Joel Bitonio down at left guard, not only do you get a player who is better at left guard than who you have on the team, and Laken Tomlinson and Juice Scruggs, the current starter. You know what else you're plopping down on the offensive line? How about a veteran that has played a crap ton of football at a very high level? How about a veteran presence at left guard to help the rookie left tackle that you've got in Ariante Ursary? How about a veteran presence to help finally starting in the National Football League center, Jake Andrews? How about a veteran presence to be in there and understand what it takes to consistently be great on the offensive line of the National Football League? Nobody on the Texans right now has an idea of what it takes to be consistently great on the offensive line. None of those guys have been consistently great. Titus Howard's had some nice moments. He's never been consistently great. Laken Tomlinson's had a couple of nice moments. His career never been consistently great. Joel Bitonio knows what it takes to be consistently great on the offensive line in the NFL. He's a veteran. He can help your rookie left tackle. He can help your inexperienced center. And he's a good football player. He's a good football player that could be then finally playing for a team that has a chance to go somewhere. 34 years old, played a lot of football, got banged up a little bit last year. Man, revitalized, re-energized Joel Bitonio in Houston manning that left guard spot. I certainly see the vision. I didn't see it last year. They weren't one player away from changing or elevating or adjusting what they do on that offensive line. They could definitely use Bitonio this year, and this offensive line, which has had some steadiness the past couple of weeks, gotten a little bit better each of the weeks. He could add just a little bit of juice to him, make him a little bit better on the offensive line. I love this one the most. Of all the 3 trade guys, the bigger names, the recognizable names, the good players, of the 3 names that I put together, I like Breece Hall. It's a good one. I like Njoku. It's a good one. But I have talked myself into Joel Bitonio at left guard. This guy would come in here, put on that Texans uniform, and start mauling people. And I love that idea. So, plenty to get to on the discussion about those guys. I see you guys in the chat. There's some other names that I want to add in to the equation as well. And I want to do that all after I tell you about my friends at TDECU. Hey, get Joel Bitonio one of those TDECU Texans debit cards, and then his family can get 15% off at the team store online. Yeah, that's get Joel Bitonio in Houston, get him signed up over at TDECU, get him to be a member at the credit union that is TDECU. They're your credit union. That can be Joel Bitonio's credit union. All right. Membership required, insured by the NCUA. And then he's going to get 15% off when he buys all the gear for his extended family and sends it all across the country and says, hey, get to Houston. You got to watch me play. All right. You can get the same thing too. You don't have to be Joel Bitonio to walk into a TDECU and get signed up. Okay. You can find out about all the fantastic stuff they've got at TDECU.org/Texans. You can find out about that 15% off the team store, new hats, new jerseys. Maybe they get Bitonio and you want to get a Bitonio jersey. 15% off that Texans debit card. It's a beautiful debit card. You go to the website, you see CJ Stroud holding it up. It looks fantastic. 15 greater Houston area locations for you to walk in and get signed up. You need to start the process right there online. That's just one of the many perks of being a member at TDECU. Your credit union is not just a slogan. It is true. They work for you. You put your money elsewhere, it's not doing as much for you as when you put your money with TDECU. They will take care of you. We appreciate them for being a sponsor here during football season, taking care of us, and taking care of you and your money. Okay. All right. Lots of comments to get to, more names to get to. So let's fire it up here. Let's see. David says NFL trade deadline's always over-exaggerated. Teams don't trade good starters. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. And you got to do your homework. You got to check in. You got to be, hey, are you interested? You want to move? Da-da-da-da. Mike Roberts wants Darren Waller from the Miami Dolphins. asked Cody, why are you not in Vegas with Landry? Well, Landry went with his wife. I wasn't going to spoil time away from the baby. He doesn't need me there. How's the caffeine with the rise? 200 milli on the rise. Now I have, and I'll show you next week, I have some, lower caffeine ones for you. Some smaller caffeine hits. Not everybody needs 200 milli in the morning. Kenyon Green and CJ are both Ravens now. How did 3 teams lose 1 trade? Yeah, that was not great there. Anyway. Louis says, names that intriguing to me are Elijah Vera Tucker and Eric McCoy. Elijah Vera Tucker's hurt for the year, so can't trade for him. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Don't want to do that. McCoy is on the Saints and plays center. So I thought more about Ruiz, but I don't know Ruiz's injury situation right now. I know he's hurt, but I don't know if he's hurt for the year. I didn't do that. But I didn't think about centers much. Mustard Paper, appreciate you. What about guards? Yeah, I think that was before we got the Bitonio. Kenneth says we don't need a running back. Have Woody, Mixon, Chubb. I'm okay with that lineup. Oh, Kenneth, I'm sorry. Kenneth. I don't think Joe Mixon can be counted on. Don't count on Joe Mixon. Okay? You don't count on Joe Mixon right now. Now, if Joe Mixon comes back and you have Breece Hall and Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb and Woody Marks, what a glorious running back room you have, but don't count on Joe Mixon right now. Good to see Landry Locker in the locker room in here. Stoots watching on the early booze strip walk. Hey, there you go. A couple of tall boys for Landry Locker, the host of the locker room. Ooh, a little espresso martini. That's going to be good. Here's one thing I can say about Landry, and you can DM him about this. You can tweet him. You can Instagram message him. You can ask in the comment section on the YouTube pages. He will have Vegas deals, steals, off the beaten paths. He's got a recommendation for everything in Vegas. That man knows Vegas about as well as anybody. Daniel says I'm 10 minutes behind, but I'm fiending for a Breece Hall trade. Yeah. Tap it in, Daniel. Think you're going to be happy. Jacob says the 3rd for Hall and their 4th. I'd do that probably. I'd do that. That Giants 3rd is probably going to be the top half of the 3rd round, and then the Jets 4th is obviously going to be near the top half of the 4th. I would do that in a heartbeat, actually. I'd do that in a heartbeat. I'd probably do the 2 4s for like Breece and a 5, you know. Sid says fifth round pick. I think teams around the league are going to drive that up. I think maybe if it's a fifth now, when they shop him, teams around the league, push that up. Bubba wants no part in trading the third. Same with Mike. W. Rod says, stick with the rookie. Don't need him. Says trading for Brees seems like the end of Joe Mixon in the H for me. Yeah, it's not. It's not great for him. Hennessy Black would love Njoku. Esco's a big fan. Hennessy Black's a big fan. Mike says, if you get Njoku, maybe see Stover fullback snaps. Think he'd be a good fullback weapon in the passing game out of the backfield. Sure, you could get multiple and mix and match with the tight ends. And you could put some 3 tight end sets out there and really kind of, be big body about it if you want. And then you can mix and match the 2 tight end sets. Schultz doesn't have to carry the receiving load at tight end if you have David Njoku. He doesn't have to carry the blocking load if you have Njoku. They can share that top tight end billing, and then you fit Stover in however he fits in. Brian says, good morning. Sounds like a plan. RA's thinking it through. Said's thinking Njoku and Bitonio. And then, as it popped up, he knew. Bubba would trade the Giants third for Bitonio. Now, here's the thing about Bitonio. I feel like you could probably get him in the building and then convince yourself and convince him to hang around for a couple of years. That's your left guard. You have a veteran left guard. He's not going to be super expensive because he's an older player, and he's not as expensive because he doesn't hit free agency. So, while I'm not in love with the idea of trading the third for Bitonio, if you knew you were going to sign him to an extension or you had a good chance to sign him to an extension and maybe got a little bit back from the Browns in addition to that, I'd be interested in having the conversation. Okay. Now, Mike brings up a good point. Doubt they would trade Bitonio with the young quarterbacks. It's a good point, Mike, but they've got a really solid backup guard. We'll talk about him in a second. They got a really solid backup guard in Cleveland who's had some really solid backup moments for the Browns already this season. So while I don't know that they trade both their guards that are veterans, which, by the way, are both headed to free agency, I do believe they could trade one of them. Okay? The Browns have a lot of guys headed to free agency off their offensive line. Good to see you, 320. Kyle loves the Bitonio one the most. W. Rod says, why not Quentin Nelson or Trent Williams? Well, Quentin Nelson's on the number 1 team in the AFC right now, and Trent Williams is a left tackle who's about to call it a career and the integral piece to how the San Francisco 49ers operate, by the way, in the hunt. They're not available. They're not available. H-Town, how about Alvin Kamara swinging? Ain't looking good, and an old vet that can help out the running back room. I don't love Kamara. He's got a weird contract situation with the Saints. And he doesn't give you much outside of catching the ball. He's not giving you anything between the tackles. And the rushing's not been as good. He's just, it feels very likely that the impact is low for a guy like Kamara. I do love an Italian name. Fadoni. Okay, I do love an Italian name. Bitonio. I don't even know if he's Italian, but it sounds Italian. He's got to be Italian. Joel Bitonio? I'm going to Google it. Is Joel Bitonio Italian? He's got to be Italian. Huh. He is not Italian according to Google's AI. He's not listed among notable Italian-American football players. Well, I know he's not like from Italy. I wonder if he has an Italian heritage. Good Lord. Okay, let's see here. It's got to be Italian, right? Bitonio. Yeah, if you want caffeine, 200 milli from the Sunny D Rise collaboration. There's some that have 200 is probably about what I need. Some 300 ones. I don't know about all that. There's like some 120s. I think the Liquid Death Water people are coming out with an energy drink next year. Danny, what do we do? Don't be silly. Don't be silly. We should trade for Josh Allen and Puka. This isn't your failing fantasy football team, Danny. Texar, I'd trade the Raiders for Jackson Powers Johnson, give them a pick of Damian Pierce. This Jackson Powers Johnson thing is some account that just does salacious things brought this up. Jackson Powers Johnson, the 2024 draft pick, he's a building piece of the offensive line in Las Vegas. They're not trading him. Jeffrey says, Giants looking like geniuses drafting Dart instead of Sanders, like I was predicting once the trade was announced. Yeah, I mean, Dart looked really good last night. They got a little juice there in the city that never sleeps now. AFC South show. What's up, Curtis? What's up, Stoots? I prefer we trade for better guard depth and or corner depth. Yeah, there's corner depth's tough because if a guy's worth trading for, he probably wants to play, but he's not going to play. So corner, I didn't think about a lot of corner stuff. Plus, you're getting Jalen Smith back, and Tremont Smith played okay. In a pinch, Tremont Smith can help you, and then Jalen Smith will be back sooner. I like Jalen Smith, and he's a rookie I want to see in the conversation when he gets back and gets healthy. Killer X God, what is the deadline to make this happen, and how serious do you think they are to make the transaction? Well, this is just my speculation trying to find names here. And the NFL trade deadline is very close. It is Tuesday, November 4th. So the Texans will have played this big stretch of games that are super important to them. They'll have played a couple of them and be right there in the middle of it. So they'll have finished up the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Broncos game. And then the trade deadline will happen, and then they have the Jaguars and the Titans. So you got a few weeks, let's call it so it's a month from Tuesday, this past Tuesday. So you're looking at a little over 3 weeks here to get this done. Okay, guys can add value, guys can lose value, guys can guys can play their way into not wanting you to make the trade, things like that. I feel like the Giants owe us an unofficially future pick for Jackson. Yeah, it feels like they didn't get as much as they could have for a quarterback trade up, but that's a conversation for last April. Mixon's situation is stranger like the Christian Harris situation last year, and I'm still not sure Harris is back. Yeah, it's very, very hush-hush, very quiet on Joe Mixon. And Aaron Wilson from KPRC, he's not expecting Mixon to play this year. So Aaron was kind of the first to report that Joe had this foot injury, and there was some concern that he might miss the year. So I know Aaron's not 100% on injuries, but he was early on this Mixon thing back in the spring. And, him saying, I don't think he's going to play, like, okay. I've heard rumor of Jeffrey Simmons to Jacksonville. O-line is a major concern if that happens. I don't believe the Titans want to trade Jeffrey Simmons, and I don't believe they would trade in the division. It feels like that's an organization that'd be like, don't trade in the division. I think that's maybe overrated in most conversations, but yeah, I don't think they'd be smart to trade Jeffrey Simmons. If Simmons is on the block, the Titans probably wouldn't want to trade with the Texans, but go get him. Dorino asked about Chris Olave. I didn't look at many wide receivers. And the reason I didn't look at many wide receivers is because the Texans have tons of options at wide receiver, and whoever you bring in is going to inherently take away from the young guys. And I want to see the young guys develop, and they don't cost you. Like, you've already spent on the young guys. Getting a guy like Olave, not only do you have to get him in the building, get him up to speed, trade for him, then he's closer to getting paid than the young guys. So and he gets hurt a lot, as Byron says here. So I'm not a huge Olave guy. Mike says if Harris is done, he's not done. He just was a healthy scratch. But if Christian Harris is done, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., young guy, is about to be pushed even further down the depth chart. Yeah, and Philly, Philly and the Texans work together pretty well. I got a hunch they probably don't want to deal him. Yeah. Hey, Cody, rip some NFL trading cards on stream. I mean, okay. You know what? Actually, I have some trading cards over here. All right. You know what, W Rod? Now you say this. I don't have a lot hanging around, but I got some. I got some off of Whatnot the other day. Let's do just a little pack rip right here. I have a Score 2022 12 cards per pack Panini. I don't know a ton about cards. I just had this laying around. It was like a throw in. I got a throw in from a Whatnot order the other day. Sure, let's open a pack. Maybe we hit something big. Maybe we hit something big here. Let's see what we got. There's no rules on the Fridays. Okay, there's no rules on the Fridays. We're going to do a food review. We're going to talk about some more trade targets. All right, let's see here. Let's see if we got anything cool. I love these old school looking cards. So we got a Kyler Murray. That's useless. Adam Thielen. A Sterling Shepard. Mike Vrabel. Oh, God. Titans Julio Jones. That's weird looking. A Panthers Jeremy Chin. Awful. Eric Izukama, Texas Tech. That's a rookie card. Arnold Ebekite. Rookie card. Drake Jackson, rookie card. Not very useful. Oh, Akeem Ekwonu rookie card. How about that? Got a little Akeem Ekwonu rookie card. A Jamar Chase celebration card. And a first ballot Hall of Fame Charles Woodson card. So there you go. I don't think I didn't hit like a big score on that one. I just had this one hanging around. So somebody said, hey, rip some cards. Hey, I got some cards laying around. I'll rip them. All right. So if you want any of those cards, send me an email. I'll mail them to you. I'll mail them to you. Okay, so a couple more names here. All right, so those were the big names. The big names we did, Breece Hall, add to the running back situation, David Njoku, add to the tight end situation, and my favorite, Joel Bitonio. Okay, add to the left guard situation. All right, a couple more names. How about Saints linebacker Demario Davis? Older player, but has had a ton of success as a coverage guy at the linebacker spot. Not playing for much longer. He's 36 years old. Has been an all-pro a couple of times in his career. And if you needed a little linebacker juice, Demario Davis, free agent at the end of the year, and the Saints are going, younger here in the next couple of years. Maybe you could pry them away. This one's a little bit harder from the Saints. Cameron Jordan. If you thought you needed just a little bit more juice on the defensive line, though, this one's tough because they've got Willie Anderson and they've got Danielle Hunter. They've got Darrell Taylor. They've got Danico Autry coming back. They've got Derek Barnett. And they've got Dylan Horton. So defensive end was a little bit tougher, but if you moved on from a couple of those guys, or maybe you sent a young guy and you got Cameron Jordan, him mixed in with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson would be interesting. And while we're still on the Saints, Foster Moreau, one of their tight ends, former Raiders tight end, ended up in New Orleans when Derek Carr ended up in New Orleans. They were big buddies, and Moreau's just a better version of Harrison Bryant, really, is what it is. He's played a little bit more. He's had a little bit more success. So Moreau would be like a little bit different version of Harrison Bryant, not quite the Njoku level. I saw somebody in the chat ask about this guy. why not check in on Mark Andrews? Now, I don't think it's nearly as good as it was a couple of years ago, but veteran, played a lot of football, do it all tight ends, tough guy. And I just, after the drop in Baltimore, I don't know that it's really it might behoove Mark Andrews get a change of scenery. The Ravens have got a couple of other guys that they like at tight end, including Isaiah Likely. So maybe Mark Andrews is a name you think about. All right. Maybe you think about that in a trade. Wouldn't be expensive. None of these guys would be very expensive. If you needed just one more running back body, Jerome Ford, he's a free agent at the end of the year. The Browns obviously have Quinshawn Judkins, who's very good. So I thought about Jerome Ford. I don't think it's a great idea to, trade for Jerome Ford, but if you could send like a 6th or a 7th and get Jerome Ford, yeah, maybe. And then here is the other name, and this is probably a depth name for the Texans initially, but could maybe start in a pinch. Tevin Jenkins. Now, Jenkins, so who the hell is this, Cody? Tevin Jenkins is a former Chicago Bear, and he's a backup for the Browns. Now, Jenkins is important for a variety of reasons. One, he's important because if he plays well, they would be more likely to trade you Joel Bitonio. The other one would be if they don't want to trade the veterans, Bitonio at left guard, Wyatt Teller at right guard, maybe they'd trade you Tevin Jenkins, who is a backup player who signed a 1-year deal with them. And if they trade you Tevin Jenkins, who's been out there a little bit at left guard, he's had just a handful of snaps for the Browns this year, but he played okay in Chicago, and they didn't bring him back. They went a different way at guard in Chicago. They played okay in Chicago, and just be depth, just somebody with a little bit more juice, a younger player, a little bit more tread left on the tire than some of the veterans that you have backing up at guard. And again, if they have Jenkins in Cleveland and they still want to protect the young guy, maybe they'd trade you one of the veterans because they have Jenkins. I just thought he was an intriguing name to put up. So that's where I have that. Siraj, we did Mark Andrews. Mike's trying to sell his cat. 320. I have like $50K in sports cards and collectibles. So send me some pictures, 320. DM me or send me an email. I'd love to see some of that stuff. He didn't want me to open them. Man, somebody said crack a pack. I cracked a pack. He's been collecting cards since the 70s. Mario, appreciate you. Mike's trying to give his cards away. Sell them on Whatnot. People bid so irresponsibly. Don't I know it? Mike, send me an email because there's a Texans fan that I met at a charity event a couple months ago who just opened a card shop and he buys collections. So send me an email, Mike. I hope you heard that. $320 going to land Cody a Whatnot sponsorship. I don't have the stuff to put on Whatnot, but Whatnot is a lot of fun and it's insanely addicting, and you can accidentally spend a couple of $100 on there without even thinking about it. So Whatnot responsibly if you do Whatnot. What's up with Sheldon Rankins? Did something happen that I'm unfamiliar with? Did something just pop up? But Rankins, to me, has been a pretty solid player for the Texans. So I think Sheldon Rankins has been pretty solid. Good to see you, JJ. Jeffrey Smith, what about trading for Dylan Sampson from the Browns? I know he's a rookie, but it looks like they already they already have their guy in QJ. The Texans had a chance to draft Sampson. They drafted Woody Marks instead, so I got to think they maybe don't like him as much. And if you're adding to the running back room, I think I'd add a guy with a little bit of experience. I don't want to have too many young guys in the room right now. Now, obviously, in the spring, I'd like to add another young guy with Woody Marks and maybe another veteran in the room. Whatever happened to Dawson Knox? Is he still available? As far as I know, he's still on the Bills roster, but they got Dalton Kincaid. He's just much better. If they only would have drafted the man with the mullet. Yeah. Tate Ratledge. Ratledge has had some up and down moments in the start to his NFL career. Jackson Powers Johnson for Blake Fisher. Powers Johnson's a better player than Blake Fisher. They're not trading Jackson Powers Johnson. Lionheart, watching Cody rip pack was fun. You want to see another one? I think I got another one hanging around here somewhere. JJ Stack got himself a rookie Will Anderson card. Okay. That's nice. Yeah, Mike, send me an email about those cards. JB Allen, the Annihilator, he's gifted a Houston Football with Cody Stoots membership. Yeah, appreciate you, JB Allen. Members get access to videos early. There's going to be some member-only stuff with the food review things. There's going to be member-only polls. So membership to the channel gets you access to some extra stuff. It's another way to support the channel. JB, I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Mike ends up with the gifted. Mike ends up with the gifted subscription. How about that? Okay. So we went through a couple of the names for trades. I have a CJ Stroud question for you. And then we'll do I didn't want to do this, but it's kind of what I do thing. And then we'll finish up with the food review. How about that? All right. With 3,700 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, get CJ Stroud paid at the end of the season. With 3,700 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions this season, get CJ Stroud paid. If CJ Stroud had these stats at the end of the year, would the Texans pay him like one of the top quarterbacks in all of football? I tend to lean that yes, they would, because this feels like a stat line of a quarterback that plays on a team that has a really, really good defense, and he didn't have to do too much. And they probably ran the ball pretty well. Now, for reference, 3,700 yards passing is right outside the top 10 most years. 27 touchdowns is usually right inside the top 10, and 10 interceptions would be less than the amount of interceptions that he threw last year. So it would show some improvement, and you would definitely be thinking, okay, 27 touchdowns, the most he's thrown, 10 interceptions, an improvement from last year. Currently, he has the highest QBR that he's had in his career. His passer rating is the highest in his career. It could be an efficient season. Now, would I feel great about paying CJ Stroud after this stat line? Well, I think it really depends on how the season ends up, and then ultimately, what does he do in the playoffs? Because if he has a good playoff run, then you're absolutely paying him. Does he have these stats and you didn't make the playoffs? Okay, well, you could wait another year. You could pay Will Anderson and then wait another year. But would this stat line get CJ Stroud paid? I don't believe that I would pay him after this stat line. I do believe the Texans would pay him. I do believe they would go and he'd probably get somewhere between $57 and $60 million per year, and they'd give him an extension, and it'd still be a couple years before that big money starts to hit, but they'd give him the signing bonus and all that, and then you start kind of managing around the big quarterback salary. I believe they would pay him after this stat line. I would want him to play one more year and see if he can build on this with the understanding that I'm going to pay more if he outperforms this. That's the biggest conversation about quarterbacks. If you wait, you find out one way or the other. You find out, he's not worth the money. And if you wait, you find out he is worth the money, and you're happy to pay the extra amount of money that it costs. Not quite the Cowboys, because they kind of pickled themselves into a position where they had to pay Dak a whole heck of a lot of money. But tell me the Jaguars wouldn't have wanted to wait one more year with Trevor Lawrence, and maybe they could have saved a few $1 million over the course of the life of the deal. That's the biggest thing. You don't have to pay these guys. You don't have to pay CJ Stroud. You don't have to spend a whole heck of a bunch of money on a guy like CJ Stroud if you're not sure. But most teams do. Most teams do. And at this number, these numbers, 3,700, 27 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, highest touchdown total of his career, less interceptions than last year. You would think if this stays the case, probably one of the higher QBRs he's had, higher quarterback ratings he's had, that might get him paid. Now, of course, it's more than just, hey, it's the stats. What did the season look like? How'd they go? Where'd they go? But I do believe the Texans would pay him after this. I would not. Jeffrey says no. Kyle says probably would get him paid. Jerome says hopefully not. Stingray says I think they should pay him if he can limit his interceptions. So Stingray's in on that number. Jeffrey says I would hope for a team-friendly deal in your scenario. I don't think there's any team-friendly deals from CJ Stroud. I don't think that's coming. Mike asks, how does the eye test look? Is it garbage time stats? Are they winning? Has he finally progressed? Hit easy passes, step up when needed. The next question I would ask that Mike didn't ask, does he put the Superman cape on? How often does he go out there and have a performance that only a handful of QBs can have? That's a big thing to me. He had it a lot in 2023. Didn't have it as much in 2024, but there were still moments where like, oh man, there's only a few QBs that can do what he did in this game, in this matchup. How many times do you put Superman's cape on? Would be a big question for me. Leo says they're going to pay him because he will have to learn a new offense every 2 or 3 years. Build that into the cost of doing business? Yeah, maybe. Lionheart says, I really appreciate your content, what you do for the Texans community, Cody. Thank you for watching, Lionheart. Thank you for the kind words. Jerome says he'd wait another year after that. I'm with Jerome on that one. If those were the stats, if these are the stats, I'd wait one more year. And I'd be happy to pay them more money if he overachieved. JB Allen, the Annihilator. Those stats would get CJ paid. What were T-Law's stats before he signed his contract? It's a good question. Good question. I think it's a little bit different because the Jaguars are a poorly run organization and they were desperate for a quarterback. But Trevor Lawrence came off of a 4,000-yard passing season with 21 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. And then the Jaguars paid him a tremendous amount of money. He was very okay. And then they paid him. It was a QB-starved team, and he's supposed to be the chosen one. So, do you see any scenario where the Texans trade a first for a big-time player? I don't. Because a lot of times those players also cost a lot of money, and you'd be close to paying them, or you need to pay that player, or they'd already be paid, and then it kind of affects the build for the next couple of years. You need that cheap first-round talent, or you need that first-round pick to move around and acquire more cheap talent. Sean G says he'd need to have a large collapse for the Texans not pay him after this year. I tend to agree with Sean. I feel like they're going to pay him almost no matter what. Almost no matter what. Patrick Ding with a question, and I'm going to rip another pack of cards, and then we're going to do a food review too. Patrick Ding says, totally unrelated, but remembered yesterday that Titus strip sacked CJ last year. Haven't heard his name as much this year. A testament to progress. Titus did have a bad moment there with CJ. That's not good. It's not good. Thank you for bringing that up, Patrick. I think so. I think a lot of people had forgot about that, but thank you for being a member of the channel, Patrick. It's JB Allen, the Annihilator. Also, totally unrelated, Peacemaker Season 2 finale. Talk about all the possibilities we'll see going forward. I got to catch up, JB. I got to catch up. Appreciate you for being a member and gifting memberships as well. Dime, happy Friday to you. So I think these numbers get CJ Stroud paid and get him paid handsomely. I would not pay him if these were the numbers. With the caveat, I want to see what the record is. How does he do in the playoffs? And we'll all see that. They've played 5 games. They've got plenty more, hopefully a playoff run. See what he does in the playoffs. And look, if they go win 2 playoff games, he's going to get paid a tremendous amount of money. And they're not going to move on from it. So I think that is, just an out and out fact about that. Texans Turf. Fact is, they do a great job. Landry did all the shopping for you. He found Texans Turf. I remember him telling me about this. I remember him telling me about trying to get the turf guys out there and all the different guys he talked to that were just, crazy with their prices or had minimums or, wouldn't work on his size of his yard. Not Texans Turf, man. They put a beautiful product right there in Landry's backyard. And you look at the website, TexansTurf.com. You see all the great work that they've done. They can do it for you. They can put a putting green in your backyard. Put a putting green in your front yard. You can be the neighborhood's best neighbor with a putting green in your front yard. Put a big play area in your backyard for the kiddos, for the animals. And those kids and animals playing on the Texans Turf, always clean, always green, that turf. About to be that time of year where you don't want to be outside and working on the lawn because, you want to be enjoying the weather. You don't want to be sitting on the lawn. And certainly during the summer, my goodness, it's hard to work on your lawn. You don't have to do any of the work when Texans Turf puts down that beautiful, always green, always clean turf for you. TexansTurf.com. Schedule that free estimate right there on the website. They do a great, great job at Texans Turf, and they can do it for you in your backyard, in your front yard, at your rental property, at your business. So many different things that you can do with Texans Turf. Check it all out, TexansTurf.com. Arby's steak nugget review. I'll put it on the list, Dion. I'll put it on the list. Put it on the list. All right, let's rip a pack, and then I got a Codyism, and then we'll finish with the food review. Okay. Grab another pack. Why not? Little football pack ripping. You guys are going to get me on Whatnot. I'm going to go spend money that I don't need to be spending on packs to do pack rips on Fridays. Another score, 2002 or 2022. Who am I looking for here? What am I looking for here in the 2022 NFL Draft rookie class? How about this? It'd be cool if I got I think Aiden Hutchinson rookie, a Derek Stingley rookie, a Sauce Gardner rookie would be fun, a Kyle Hamilton rookie, a Tyler Linderbaum rookie. Let's rip the pack here. Let's see what we got. I watch the people do it online. I'm very delicate with these. So I don't want to mess up the cards in case there is a good one in there. Oh, look, we got another Kyler Murray. That's unfortunate. We got one of those earlier. Oh, look, we got another Adam Thielen. That's unfortunate. We got one of those earlier. A Brandon Ayuk. Chase Claypool. Is this in the Steelers jersey with the – oh, no, it's just Steelers. Jordan Poyer. All right, we're not getting any fun stuff here. What's going on? Hey, remember when James Robinson was a thing? Theodore Bridgewater. How about that? Got a rookie card. Charleston Rambo. Charleston Rambo out of Miami. Rookie card for DeMarvin Leal. Oh, hey, how about this? This is a nice one. How about a George Karlaftis rookie card? That's kind of nice. Real first name, Yoros. George Karlaftis rookie card. That's not too bad. A Tom Brady celebration rookie card, him and Cameron Brate. And then a Sack Attack Michael Strahan rookie card. So the Score does some cool stuff with their cards. Hey, George Karlaftis, that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one. Okay. You guys are just going to make me buy football cards and rip them on Fridays, aren't you? I mean, you're not going to make me do anything. I mean, I want to. It's fun. Who knows? All right, I didn't want to do this, but it's kind of what I do. If you followed me talking about the Texans for any number of years, you know I love the NFL draft. And you know I love you coulda or shoulda done this in the draft. Okay? You coulda or shoulda done this in the draft. It's one of my favorite games to play, and I understand it doesn't always come with total and proper context, but we'll always remember the Graham Mertz pick and the guys that went after Graham Mertz. If any of them ended up being pretty good, we'll say the Texans should have drafted him. Well, I'm kind of getting a little – this one's tough because I like Woody Marks. I liked a different running back more than Woody Marks. The Texans had a chance to draft this guy, and coming off of what he was able to do last night, I almost wonder, did the Texans make an uh-oh at 97 when Cam Skattebo was still right there on the board? Now, obviously, they ended up with a running back, and they might have felt that they needed that backup cornerback in Jalen Smith, but a lot of draft nicks thought that Jalen Smith was going to be a later round pick. A lot of draft nicks thought Cam Skattebo was going to go right about where the Texans drafted Jalen Smith. Now, I want to put the caveat here on the Cam Skattebo phenomenon. I don't believe he's going to be a long-term productive NFL quarterback. I believe he's going to be a comet. He's going to be really good for a few years, and then that's going to be it. The way he plays football is not conducive to a super long career. This guy is not a unique freak athlete like Derrick Henry. Okay. But Cam Skattebo was a really good football player in college. He could catch the football. He could run the football. He was physical. He was violent. He's not afraid to go out there and go get some pass blocking reps and put that together. And the Texans needed everything and more from that running back spot. Now, they're getting a lot of that from Woody Marks. Woody Marks has run the ball well. He's not afraid of contact. He can catch the ball well. I just wonder if, you could have had Cam Skattebo at 97. You could have traded up for Jalen Smith in the 4th round, or just maybe sat there in the 5th round and hoped Jalen Smith got there. It's worth noting a running back that you draft is going to be on the field a lot more than the backup outside cornerback. That's what Jalen Smith was when they drafted him. He was a backup outside cornerback. They saw him as a backup. They saw him as an outside guy. Well, you're not starting over Kamari Lassiter, and you're not starting over Derek Stingley. So they drafted a backup player, a for sure backup player, over a guy that could potentially start at the running back spot. Now, again, they went and got a starting running back who I believe has a longer-term durability than Cam Skattebo. But my God, isn't the Cam Skattebo roller coaster fun while it lasts? The 3 years of Skattebo versus, 6 years of Woody Marks. We'll see. I don't want to do this, but, I'm Mr. Could have had that guy in the draft. So isn't Bayshaw Tootin better than Skattebo? He is not. Cam Skattebo is awesome. He's one of the best rookie running backs with Genty, with Hampton, and he was incredible last night. Skattebo as a Texans would have been crazy. Yep. Patrick Ding, Cam Skattebo wouldn't have been happy because we would have sat him for the first 3 weeks. Patriots way. And Lionheart brings up a good point. When they're drafting, they probably think Joe Mixon's playing. And so Woody Marks was a much better fit with Joe Mixon than Cam Skattebo, by the way. Like he was a better fit. So I get it. And I'm not upset that they have Woody Marks and don't have Cam Skattebo. But just, it's nice to think about. Brandon, did Stoots hear any rumors about a night one trade up in the draft by Caserio? I think he was pretty clear that they were on the phones trying to make deals. He was pretty clear about that. So, opening those football cards is a thrill. We get to all celebrate. All right, food review. I'll be right back. I gotta go get it. I couldn't just leave it out. You'll understand why here in just a moment. But food review coming your way. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. All right, a live Food Review Friday. A live Food Review Friday coming your way here in just one moment after Dime's question gets answered. Did you call Will Fuller? The last known number that I have for Will Fuller did not result in a response. Did not result in a response. So the last known number I have for Will Fuller did not result in a response. I am not giving up, though. I'm still trying to get Will Fuller for us on SNL. Speaking of SNL, today, 4 o'clock, Landry and I, every single position and the coaching staff, the progress reports for the team, every single position and the coaching staff, the progress reports, 4 o'clock. You don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss that. Let's get a way too early mock draft for the culture. Why'd you do this? I mean, it's Friday. We're just hanging out. We're kicking it. I'll do a food review. Okay, I said we'll end with a food review. I'll do a way too early mock draft for the culture. Okay. I'm excited about this one because it's unique. It's very Texan. And we're going to food review the Bluebell Classic Pecan Pie Ice Cream. This is a brand new ice cream from Bluebell. And I have high expectations, but I also want everybody to understand where I am on pecan pie. It's not my favorite. Pecan pie is not my favorite. And it's not pecan, okay? It's pecan. Pecan pie is not my favorite. But when you want pecan pie, nothing else will do. So here's my hope and expectation for the classic pecan pie. I obviously want some pecans. I want that syrupy, molassesy, like rich, earthy, sugary flavor present. And I don't want this to be butter pecan ice cream with some pecans in it. Like, I don't want it to just be butter pecan in a different, label. Okay? So here's what it looks like. Let's get a good, can I get it? There we go. Turn the light off here. Here's what it looks like. All right. I don't want this to just be butter pecan with a different label. Looks like you got some chunks in there. Oh, it smells like a pecan pie. Remember, the scale's 1 to 11. 11 is the best thing you've ever eaten. 1 is you'd never try it again. Maybe even go ask for your money back. Here's what Bluebell promises us on the side of the container. A rich brown sugar ice cream with roasted pecans and pieces of flaky pie crust mixed with a pecan pie filling. That is a lofty praise. So we're going to get brown sugar ice cream, roasted pecans, pieces of pie crust, and pecan pie filling in this. Here we go. Now, typically when I do the food reviews, I'm able to speed up. You'll have to hear me eat on this one. I apologize. Look at that bite. I mean, there's lots of pecans. Let me turn the light off again so you can see. There are lots of pecans in there. Again, it smells good. Here we go. Okay, right away, obviously the pecans. And that is a little bit more of a dominant flavor. You can see right here. I think that's going to be some of the flaky pie crust. You don't get that a ton. That's pretty good. Let me get a big honking spoonful here. Oh yeah, there's some of that pie filling there down there. In that kind of like that molassesy pie filling. I think I'm about, like, tough part about pie. Oh, man, there's that doughy pie part right there. Yeah, give me that. Now, can you see that doughy piece right there? Mm. Okay. I worried about it being just pecan pie with a different packaging. It's definitely not that. The richness that a pecan pie has is not totally prevalent in this, but I do wonder if they were worried about making it too sweet so that you get hit with sugar instead of that earthy richness that a pecan pie has. The pecans are fantastic in there. They're not too hard, which is always your worry when you've got any sort of nut in a ice cream, is that it gets too hard. They're not too hard. There's not too many of them where you just taste pecans. The pie crust is nice in there. I just don't know that I want more than about 5 bites of it. Yeah, that's my big thing, is like when I get a pecan pie slice, I get like a little tiny little slice because it's a lot. This is a lot from a flavor bomb standpoint. So I don't know that you want more than just about 5 or 6 bites of it. So, man, this is tough. If you like pecan pie, you should try it. I'd get a pint, not a half gallon. Man, the flavor's not super, like, it doesn't like punch you either. 8.4. 8.4. 1 to 11, 8.4 for the classic pecan pie Bluebell ice cream. 8.4. 8.4 is going to be my ranking for that one. 1 through 11, 8.4. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Again, this is the pint, and I don't know if you do this with your pints. This is the pint you keep in the fridge, and you're like, all right, I just want a little bite. I just want a little couple bites, and then you put it back in there, and then you stick it back in there in the back, and then you remember it when you need like a little sweet treat. Okay? That's what that is. 8.4. It's very solid to good. It's not great. It doesn't taste exactly like a pecan pie, but it's very good. It's very good. Let me put it back in the freezer, and then we'll do a mock draft to finish this thing up. How about that? The bye week shenanigans. The bye week shenanigans. A little Cherry Coke Zero for you. Do I need a Cherry Coke Zero after having a Rise Energy drink? No. Do I want one? Sure. All right. We're just hanging out, talking football on the bye week here. And when you're just hanging out, watching football, you can make it more interesting with Sleeper. Okay? Sleeper's fantastic. Daily fantasy with college football, pro football. Texans don't play this week, so we're not going to put an entry in. But, if you want to play Sleeper, when you sign up with my code Stoots, STOOTS, use the link in the description down below, you're going to get a free $20 entry. Try out Sleeper with that free $20 entry. You're just putting a couple of predictions together. More or less than half a touchdown, more or less on this player's passing yards or receiving yards or sacks or field goals made, interceptions thrown. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. And sometimes you 5 times your money, sometimes you 20 times your money. Heck, there's ways you can 100 times your entry if you get all your sections of your entry correct. There's ways to do that on Sleeper. It's daily fantasy. It's awesome. It's also a fantastic news app, and it's a great scores app. I'm telling you, tomorrow when you're watching college football, pull up the Sleeper app, go to the scores section, and it is the best scores app. So many scores apps have trickled down over the years. perfect time. You play daily fantasy on Sleeper. You can use it as a scores app. I have a bunch of fantasy football leagues, season-long fantasy football leagues on there. Sleeper's the best. Deposit match up to $100. When you use my code Stoots, STOOTS. A free, no deposit needed $20 entry when you use my code Stoots, STOOTS. Terms and conditions do apply. Check out Sleeper's terms and conditions, operational in over 25 states. Okay. But just give it a try. Just give Sleeper a try. You get signed up with my code, you're getting a free $20 entry. You don't even have to put any money in. But if you do, you get the deposit match up to $100. Sleeper. Appreciate them for being along for football season. Try it out. And if you don't want to make a deposit, you don't want to make any daily fantasy plays, okay, you want to wait on that, you want to wait till the Texans are playing to use your free entry, use it as a scores app for a week. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. It's the scores app that I use when I need to check things out. Because the 4-letter network scores app, it ain't working as much anymore. I go to Sleeper for daily fantasy, for fantasy football, and for my scores app. And you can go there, get that $20 entry for free, and get the deposit match when you use my code Stoots, STOOTS. STOOTS. Chosen, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Young Costa, happy bye week, Cody. Did you see that tush push 4 times last night? What a lame sequence to watch, LOL. The Eagles having a rough day. A.J. Brown's in a weird spot with them. They said he had a meeting with the running back and quarterback. Then he said, I wasn't at that meeting. A weird deal in Philly. Philly's kind of falling apart. They're a victim of their own success. They played too much football last year. Now they're kind of feeling it in the early part of this year. So, Young Costa, appreciate you for the super chat. Okay, who said it earlier? Who asked for it? This is such a great point about pecan pie. It can be an awesome bite or it can be just useless. Berkeley Boss 97 asked for it. Berkeley Boss 97 asked for it. And let's get a way too early mock draft for the culture. Why not? You know? What's the harm in doing a little early mock draft here? You know? What's the harm? There's no harm. There's no harm. So let's pull up the mock draft simulator. And let's add it to the screen. Let's get all this stuff out of the bottom of my studio here so I can actually focus on this mock draft. Why not? You know, let's finish up with a mock draft. I love the draft so much. I do believe one day my hope is to add draft coverage in addition to covering the draft for Texans fans, but just to add general draft coverage. I'd love to add that to my rotation one day. It's one of my favorite things in the entire world. It melds the two best sports, which is college football and pro football. Texans have quite a few picks. Let's pull up the simulator. The simulator. I don't remember how big I need to make it so that we can see everything, but let's have it go a little slower here. Care for positional values, right? Draft for need, a little bit less. A little bit of randomness. Texans currently slated to pick 11th. I think that pick definitely ends up somewhere 21 to 32. Maybe. I don't know they're going to stick here, but for right now, let's fire it up. We'll pick for the Texans. We'll do 4 rounds. All right, we'll do 4 rounds, and I'll give you all I can on the guys that are available here. So let's fire it up here. Let's get this draft started. See what the Jets do. Number 1, they went edge rusher. Not great for them. Caleb Downs, the safety, goes number 2. Jordan Tyson to Baltimore. He is a freak. Peter Woods, they needed an offensive lineman there in Miami, but this might work out great for the Texans here. Quarterbacks and edge rushers and defensive tackles, and of course the Titans do something dumb. Okay, we're very close to run the card up territory. Oh, folks, this could not have worked out any better for the Houston Texans. If this is, if the Texans unfortunately are picking in this spot, and this is how the draft plays out, this couldn't have worked out any better. Jeremiah Love would be nice. You just can't draft a running back that early, and You don't need Dante Moore. You don't need another wide receiver. You don't need a corner. Interior defensive lineman, Caleb Banks, man, he would be nasty for D'Amico Ryans, but let's keep going. I mean, come on, the big fella, Spencer Fano. Some people thought coming in this year, Fano could be the number 1 overall pick coming into this year. You have the 3 top tackles available. Jennings Dunker, I know it says he's a tackle here. He's a guard. He's going to play guard at the next level. But you have the 3 top tackles available in Muyaga, Proctor, and Fano. Take a look at this guy. Look at what Muyaga's put together. 81.8. Okay. It's only allowed a couple of sacks, a couple of hurries. Spencer Fano's had a little bit of a slower start, but he hadn't allowed any sacks, hadn't allowed any hits, only a couple of hurries. Here's the thing about Fano. Fano plays right tackle right now. The Texans need a right tackle. And this one's easy for me. I can't do anything but make this selection. If the chat has any sort of loud disagreements, but Spencer Fano being available, as successful as he's supposed to be, the big mountain man from the University of Utah, from the Utes, 6'6", 308. Imagine having your bookend tackles taken care of. Let's do it. Check the trades. Cowboys want to whistle at us. They want a shot at this. Nah, can't pass up. The big fella. Can't pass up Spencer Fano. Branson asks, what would be your plan with Titus? I'd let Titus walk. He's expensive. I'd let him walk in free agency, hope another team signs him to a big deal, and hopefully I get a comp pick from it. I'd let Titus walk because I have Spencer Fano. Look at that. All right. Now we got to wait till the 43rd pick. If there's somebody that we really want, maybe we can make some moves. This thing's going nice and slow. Let's speed it up a little bit here. But, man, getting a potential bookend tackle, Ariante Ursary at left tackle and Spencer Fano at right tackle. The Texans are in a great spot here if they have to pick 11th. I don't want them to pick 11th, but if they had to, great spot here. Man, what a fantastic situation. Ooh, Connor Lew would have been fun. Sonny Styles would have been fun. Oh, man. Losing some good interior linemen here. All right. Let's see what the universe has given us here with this. Corleone's a nice player at the interior defensive line spot. Oh, man. Mateo Uiagalelei. Oh, he's a really fun player. Pass rusher, edge player from Oregon. Think about having really deep talent at that defensive end position for the Houston Texans, putting him behind Daniel Hunter. So when Hunter's contract is too much, you want to move on, you've got a replacement for him in Mateo Uiagalelei. Sure would be fun. Let's see. Anthony Hill Jr. is a fantastic linebacker. University of Texas. Allen is a good linebacker. Hawkley's a really nice safety. Imagine having your safety tandem taken care of. Oh, man, I'm having a hard time not drafting Uiagalelei. Caleb Lomu is the other Utah tackle. He's the left tackle. We already drafted tackles. We're not going to do that. I think I got to go with Mateo Uiagalelei. Let's work in the trenches here today on this mock draft. Uiagalelei headed your way. Okay, we're right back on the clock here. Maybe we can get us one of them linebackers. Get somebody, to be in the building, kind of learn under Azeez Al-Shire. Wouldn't that be fun? A lot of quarterbacks, a lot of wide receivers available. Jonah Coleman has been fantastic so far this year. You look at what Coleman's put together, 10 touchdowns already, 474 rushing yards in the 5 games played. Catch the ball a little bit. Not the biggest back, so it hurts you a little bit from a size perspective. Not tall, he's a little thick, got the weight. A couple of these safeties might be fun. Oh, man. Oh, I think I'm going to have a hard time not painting the defensive line orange, okay? I'm going to have a hard time not going with the big fella from the Cyclones. We know the Houston Texans like the Cyclones. I have a hard time not going with Dominique Orange here. But let's keep looking. Let's just kind of peruse a little bit. Look at these tight ends here. Now, they're supposed to be available. Supposed to be available when the Texans are next on the clock. Maybe I can wait just a little bit on the tight ends, and there's a lot of tight ends in this draft. More, another edge rusher. Already got an edge rusher, though. I'm having a hard time not painting the D-line orange. Already got an edge rusher for the future in Uaungalale. Already got a franchise right tackle, perhaps, and has Brandon notes, the big citrus. Dominique Orange. Let's do it. That's really, D'Amico Ryan's dominating the second round of the NFL draft here. You know, we're looking for at 72, we're looking for a tight end. Looking for a linebacker or a tight end at 72. Should be some good tight ends available for us. Maybe a running back. Maybe we like one of these running backs. Maybe a running back here. Ooh, that one pained me. Michael Trigg coming off the board there right before the Texans pick. Oh, but you got Max Clare. You got Indries. You got Stowers. Man, I love all three of those tight ends. Nick Anderson's damn good at football, too. Whit Weeks, he dates Lane Kiffin's daughter. Got some secondary guys as well. Ooh, man. Just taking a look, taking a little Nicholas Singleton. Wouldn't hate that. Get you a little complimentary back to Woody Marks. Wouldn't hate that. Let's take a little gander at these tight ends here. Joe Royer is a guy who's rising in draft boards right now. You watch him at Cincinnati. The blocking's a little he's more of a pass catcher, but it's getting better. The blocking's getting better. Eli Stowers has been a dude for a few years now. He's got the most proven track record of all these guys. Injuries, transfer from Cal, hadn't quite got going at Texas yet. Max Clare, transfer from Purdue, hadn't quite got going at The Ohio State yet. As you see here, not a ton from him just yet. A couple touchdowns, a couple receptions. Look at Big Eli, though. Look at Big Eli. Look what Big Eli did last year in the SEC. And Vandy, man, they got a little juice to them. I like these tight ends. Then you got Big Christmas, Justin Jolly. Got Big Christmas in here. You got Tanner Koziel, Oscar Delp. Man, I think I could wait at tight end. There are running backs that I like. Oh, I mean, we're talking about a dynamic, game-changing running back room. If you got Woody Marks, you got Nicholas Singleton. Singleton is a monster. Over 1,000 rushing yards last year. 12 touchdowns for the Penn State Nittany Lions. He's not Saquon Barkley, but he is damn good. And if Penn State can produce something, they can produce linebackers. They can produce some running backs, man. Got a couple picks here in the fourth. I'm going with the running back, and I'm hoping that one of these tight ends falls to me. It's a little bit of a wait here. Oh, there goes my guy Eli. It's okay. There's other tight ends I like. Maybe another offensive lineman, you know. You never know. You might find somebody you really like in that situation. A long wait here. 111, our next pick. If one of my tight ends are there, I think that's the move I'm going to make. Oh, Skylar Gill-Howard would have been fun, but a little depth here in the secondary from Malik Muhammad, maybe. Okay. There's the other Penn State running back. There's Joe Royer. Told you, pass catcher. The blocking's getting better. Okay. Not a small guy. Not a small guy. 6'5", 250. That's not small. Not small. Had a pretty solid year for the Bearcats last year. Hadn't quite, blown it up yet. We're thinking about it. A tight end, that could be it. We could grab Drew Aller and turn him into a tight end. DeMond Claiborne would be nice. We already drafted Allen, though. Ooh, a little depth tackle here. Jude Bowery. It's been a little disappointing over at BC. Hadn't quite lived up to what he was supposed to be. Let's see here. I'm not loving any of this stuff down here. Would like a linebacker. I just don't know that I love any of these linebackers. Let's see here. What's Isaac Smith looking like this year? A little improvement. What's the body type? 6 foot, 220. He's a junior. Good coverage, good run defense. Plays a little in the slot. Kind of a box safety. It's kind of what you need here. Let's get us a bulldog. Get us a bulldog here at safety. And let's see if we can just sneak in that tight end at 117 here. See if we sneak in that. Oh, there's Joe. Hello, Joe. Nobody wants to trade for our pick here. There's Joe. There's Big Christmas. Tanner Koziel hasn't quite taken off at UH like I feel like most people hoped he would. Oscar Delp went back to Georgia. There was a thought he was going to be a draft pick last year. Probably good he went back. I don't love any of these guys. Let's get Big Joe. Joe Royer. Get him in there. Him and Cade Stover walking around, mashing some people at the tight end spot. How about Joe Royer? All right, there's our let's see. That's the last draft pick for us. Let's see what the PFF mock draft simulator says for us. They want us to draft Garrett Nussmeier. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Get an A+ for Spencer Fano. Get an A for Mateo Uungalale. Get a B- for the Big Citrus. Get an A for Singleton. And they didn't love these, but an A- draft for this Texans mock draft. Let's just, they're not going to pick 11th. They're going to be better. But let's go ahead and save this, and we can all look back at it in draft season and laugh when I love or hate any of these running backs. So somebody wanted a mock draft, we throw a mock draft in there. Cody, you know the state. I'm not going to make it the state fair. And when you watch the show today with Landry and I, we recorded it yesterday. But it's a good breakdown. I encourage you to watch the whole thing. It'll be posted at 4:00. We're going to talk about the state fair. I didn't make it to the state fair. It just didn't work out from a timing perspective. I wanted to do the live stream today, so it didn't work out. Cody, you're already doing a mock draft? The people wanted it. I got to give the people what they want. The people wanted a mock draft. I give them a mock draft. I'm sorry, Outlaw. People wanted a mock draft. They got a mock draft. Exactly. They're not picking 11th. They're not going to get Spencer Fano. But it's fun. Well, it's fun to think about. It's just the imagination. Imagination. Use your imagination. And you know what? You hope for the best. You're playing for the worst. If they have to pick 11th, we now know that they can have a dynamite draft from the 11th spot. So that's that. All right. Fantastic start to the Friday. I'm loving this. This has been great. We had a lot of fun today. We opened some card packs. We had a live food review of the pecan pie ice cream. We talked about my friends at Sleeper. At the very beginning, we talked about my friends at TickPick. Remember, check out my friends at TickPick. I mean, they have done a fantastic job getting you tickets for whatever you want with the lowest prices guaranteed, no fees. HMA for $20 off your first TickPick order of $100 or more. Concert tickets. I've gotten concert tickets from them before. I've gotten game tickets, college, pro, basketball. They're great for baseball tickets. You can even see what your seat looks like right there in the app. It's awesome. So check out TickPick Sleeper. TDECU, Texans Turf. They're all the best. They're all the best. So appreciate everybody. Man, this was a fun one. We don't usually do 2-hour live streams, but here we are. Here we are. So went through some trade candidates. Man, this has been a fun stream. Fun stream. We end the live streams the same way each and every time. It's my hope for you. This is my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hip-hoppity, dip-doppity-doo.